Bitcoin, please go to moon. Stop going sideways now. Don't ever say we going down to 1K, but Mr. Novogratz say we have bottomed out. Novogratz is bullish. Bottomed out. Don't ever rise is bearish.
Bearish target 13 times there.
Novogratz is bullish.
Bitcoin could be at 40,000.
Let us go to moon. Bitcoin, please go to moon. Stop going sideways now. Don't ever say we going down to 1K, but Mr. Novogratz say we have bottomed out. Bottomed out. Novogratz is bullish. Bottomed out. Don't ever rise is bearish.
Bearish target 13 times there.
Novogratz is bullish.
Bitcoin could be at 40,000.
Let us go to moon.
A very warm welcome to you all, and we are live. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if the sound is all good, so that we can begin this wonderful live stream tonight. The first thing I want to say is welcome to everybody. Welcome to the live stream. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. As a matter of fact, I've wanted to do a live stream for a few days now. But unfortunately, time didn't permit. And then today I really wanted originally to do a live stream. And then just as the afternoon was progressing, suddenly I got like a really big headache that I'm currently still recovering from. But the desire to check out the charts and having some fun during this live stream together got the better of me. So here we are. I'm live. Although my energy level is just a little bit lower than usual because my headache is not entirely gone yet and I don't want it to come back. So I'm gonna have to not get overexcited. So which is something that I usually do when I find opportunities and everything. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to, tone it down just a little bit. So first of all, how are we all doing? Let me know in the chat, guys. Who do we have here in the chat? Who do we have? We have so far, we have Vivian, Mike, Thomas, Cyberposty, and Tsar, Adolfo as well. Some familiar faces as well, so welcome everybody. I think tonight's gonna be quite a good stream because of course I will cover Bitcoin real quick, but Bitcoin is mostly going really sideways. It's not very volatile lately, and that does provide some decent opportunities in the altcoin market. And yeah, that's what I want to do in the following 40 minutes or so. I wanna cycle through a few charts, discover some or update some of my analysis on some of the altcoins that we have been trading lately in the stream. As a matter of fact, I've actually done a live stream for the tribe recently where I have been doing some live trading, and some of those altcoins I wish to just take a look at tonight as well. when was that? Let me actually quickly check when that was. So that was a bonus video that I did. The 16th of September. So it was a 2 hours live stream where I was just basically trading live on screen and just going through different trade setups and taking some live trades, and that was pretty good fun. I got really good feedback on that, so yeah, there's definitely something I'm considering to do more often, because it is just educational as well. So starting off with that, essentially, let's just dive directly straight into it, shall we? So let's just cut the crap and just dive straight into it. First, let me cover some Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I have some technical problems. I'm not sure if this is all around, but you know, my order flow software is not working. My futures chart are not showing up. Maybe because the contracts changed, but maybe due to my headache, I don't have the clarity to fix that. So at the moment, I cannot look at the ES, so I'm gonna have to do with the SPX. I'm pretty sure that the issue is super simple, but I'll fix that. No worries. The point being is that today the markets are open again after the weekend, and we had a first day of trading again. Yeah, fairly quiet day, to be fair. We've seen a little bit of a bounce thus far on the SPX today. Overall, nothing to be super excited about, to be fair. We've seen an overall bigger rejection on the S&P 500 recently, where we have hit a really important key level that I have been eyeing for months. This is, yeah, obviously this level is not exactly the same as on the ES, but anyway, this was a daily level where we've topped out, gotten our rejection from, and then ever since we saw this increase in price, I've been classing this all along as a corrective retracement, after which we have swing failured on the futures this high after we have seen another retracement, and now actually confirming more or less of a bearish market structure, right? So that is the overall context. Really big rejection of a really big level, high time frame rejection, including now a market structure change. That makes it so that if we do not, so basically what is going on in the S&P 500, and why am I starting with this? Well, obviously the S&P is one of the largest markets in overall. So, and it is likely to medium correlated to Bitcoin. So usually when the ES makes big moves, or when the S&P 500 makes big moves, usually Bitcoin follows along. Now recently this has not been as tightly correlated as usual. However, I still check it out each and every day because I do want to be aware of what other markets are doing. And the S&P 500 is definitely something that you just, if you're trading this each and every day, something you do need to keep an eye on. So currently I'm thinking that we are seeing quite a high level rejection. We have now taken out lows over here. So that means that if we manage to close the day below these lows, then I would say we officially have a confirmed bearish market structure, and I foresee lower prices to come on the S&P 500. What do I mean with that? Do I mean that we're basically from tomorrow on that we're straight just gonna drop all the way to the down part? No, that's not necessarily what I mean, but I would say that, you know, in the coming weeks, maybe months, we're going to see some downside volatility is likely. It doesn't mean we can have relief rallies. It doesn't mean we cannot have bounces, etc. But it is good to be aware of the overall context of the market. And at the moment, yeah, it's starting to really get down to a bigger rejection, to be fair. And then on top of that, if we actually start losing these lows, that also means that we're starting to really get acceptance back in this sideways range that has been initiated in May 2022, so last year. If that happens, then you could say, like, maybe this is an entire correctional wave finished, and we are now seeing a trend reversal back into the range where ultimately you could be looking for a full rotation to the downside. Now, at the moment, we're really far away from that, and we have yet to close back into that range. So this is not something that right now, at this moment in time when I'm making the video, is ultra, pivotal. right? However, it is important to be aware of what can happen if we start closing back into this range, because that for the higher time frames is probably not going to end up very, very, very well. Unfortunately, my order flow software is also somehow crashing, so I cannot take a look at the order flow right now. It's been loading now for like 30 minutes already, so I'm not really entirely sure what is going on. Maybe they have maintenance or something like that. But anyway, here, even though a little bit lower energy, I'm here, I'm live, and we're going to go through some charts to help you get a grip on the situation that is going on. As far as Bitcoin goes, to me, very simple. We're totally and utterly range bound. So to keep it very, very, very simple, in the day trading updates that I do in the tribe, I give like a lot of details into how this range is progressing. But the bottom line really is we're in a low liquidity sideways environment, meaning that Bitcoin is fairly calm overall. So this is the box, this is the range that I'm looking at with its upper edge at $28,000 and its lower as $24,000, right? And that is currently what we're just trading within, making rotations back and forward. We have fake outs to the upsides, we have fake outs to the downsides, and they do give good trades. However, you need to wait. You need to be very patient for these setups to come to you. Currently, let me actually inform you also of my positions currently. I am in a short trade on Bitcoin currently, taken from this range that we had over here. I have been eyeing a short trade for quite some time now because of the way that we were consolidating on very low volume, while maintaining bullish market structure and increasing in price, and making this environment in particular quite a tricky environment to be trading in. The message that I have, if you have been trading unsuccessfully last week, the first thing that I want to say to you is you don't necessarily have to beat yourself up about it, because I have to admit this was definitely not the easiest environment to trade Bitcoin in over the last week. We were crawling up, pushing through resistances slowly but surely, but without very little conviction. Now, after we have actually saw a rejection at these levels, right? These are technical levels, it's the midline of a channel, but still didn't really necessarily instantly give a good trade. It played out over time. And the reason was that we saw volume being built up here, loads and loads of longs actually, and then upon actually dropping to the lower end of that range and then backtesting that mid level of the range as resistance, gave me finally, after literally almost 2 weeks of waiting, finally the entry trigger to actually enter into a short, after which we have broken down, put in a really big sideways consolidation over the weekend, SFP the high, and then we've seen a continuation of that structure to the downside, also back into the range. If you refine it further, encompassing the price action and the market structure rather than this whole section. So it's more like a refinement. That is currently what we are being trading back into, and at the moment we are in the process of backtesting that weekend range as resistance. Now the question is, obviously, if we start reclaiming this range, then we're reclaiming actually some levels. So then on the lower time frames we would see, I would say, an early sign of strength. Do I then necessarily mean like, oh, we're definitely gonna go to $28,000 or $30,000 after that? No, not necessarily, because you have to kind of now start to look at it level by level. So at the moment, this is resistance. And as a matter of fact, this entire region is resistance, right? This entire region is resistance. And at the moment, we are attempting to break back into that section. And then if we do that, then, you can simply trade this old range, first of all, again, although overall it would be back into this entire section with the 27,360 as the top. And that is basically what you can look to trade from. Like I said, I'm going to keep it super simple here. I'm not going to, go into all kinds of complexity. Even if I wanted to, I actually can't, because, my order flow software simply is just not functioning correctly. So that's pretty much all that there is to it at the moment. Overall, the conclusion on Bitcoin is, even though we're making some moves, we had a drop today, and then we are having a bounce throughout the day. All in all, it is not anything, it's not really anything massive, right? So overall, the conclusion can simply be we're simply just in a quiet sideways range, ranging between $28,000 and $24,000. I would say if we break either one of these levels, that will probably be the moment when the real volatility is going to pick up again. And at some point, one of these levels is going to get hit, right? But until it doesn't, Bitcoin simply remains range bound. And range bound Bitcoin usually gives some space for alts to give to bring some volatilities into the altcoin space. And we have seen that over the last few weeks. Not all altcoins, but there's slowly but surely we are starting to see some volatility coming back in the altcoin market, which I kind of like it because it's a fresh wind. Allowing me to actually trade other crypto assets than just Bitcoin alone, which is kind of nice. And on top of that, hasn't happened for a while, because even when Bitcoin was really quiet, let's say half a year ago, also altcoins just didn't do anything. So it's kind of nice. I do notice that there's a little bit of a shift in sentiment that slowly but surely the market is starting to see some increased activity. Does this mean that we're at the dawn of a bull market? Prove it to me. Let the chart prove it to me, and then I will conclude. Right? that is what I would say about this. So yeah, let's just simply go along with it. Oh, by the way, before I forget, actually, that is something that I do want to mention. Next week we are starting to have our very first community event in the tribe, and I think it's really cool. I want to make you at the very least aware of it. What we're going to do is we are going to participate in the KCGY competition on BitGet. And you might think like, hey, again, competition. Yes, it is indeed a competition. We are going to join as a team on BitGet on the KCGY competition, and in the futures part. We have created a team, Thrive Labs, and it's going to be fun. But on top of that, we are also creating additional value out of this competition, because we're going to have a set of rules that we're going to be applying to practice and to perform, to learn how you can perform under pressure. So what we're going to do, and we're going to introduce a rule set that you can maintain. So even though you were trading a competition, right, that you learn how to trade in a correct way without, getting emotional about the percentages or stuff like that you're making whilst trading in a competition. And in that way, we're aiming to go for consistency. And we chose this competition specifically because this is a competition that's going to last 1 month. And I believe that is way better than a competition that, let's say, lasts 1 or 2 weeks, because this gives you the time to actually really focus on progressing on your trading and really focus on getting that consistency. So that's the reason why we've chosen to participate in the KCGY, make it a community event, and of course, if we are consistent and as a team, if we do, then there is prize money to be won, right? So I think that's a really, really nice opportunity to get familiar with more familiar with the material on Thrive Labs and everything like that. So just wanted to get this out there. If you want to participate, then I believe I have written this in the description. Not entirely sure, but in the description. Now let me actually just double check if I did that. So if you are looking at the description, then you see 2 links where here, if you just simply click on it, that is how you can join the team. If you don't have an account, then you can use this link to create one. So I think it's going to be a really cool and unique community event. So just wanted to mention that, and hopefully to see you there. So having that out of the way, let us focus on some of the altcoins. But before I do, let me catch a breath. Take a sip of my coffee. And go for it. Let's go for it. All right, so what was I planning to do? I've created a new watch list. It's called the Tribe Kings list. These are the coins that we've been trading live on stream. Hi-Fi. Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. Brings back some memories. This was all done live on video, where we were trading literally at the top, and where we were witnessing, you know, a Black Swan event live on stream, where we have observed a drop in price of 50% during stream, which was pretty crazy, which was really cool to see. I don't remember exactly. I mean, it's on video, right? But I think I took one loss on this asset and one win, if I'm not mistaken. And then we also traded the TRB, the Tribe coin. Looks like it, right? And that also has been retracing quite a bit. We were trading that also about the highs. That was a really good trade. Was a winner. But I want to update the analysis, as you can see. You know, this is quite old analysis already. It's like 2 weeks old. So I want to update that. BLZ is a coin that I have personally traded quite a lot lately, short and on the long side. Currently, I'm in no trade on BLZ anymore, but this has been a pretty good altcoin to trade. It has been very volatile. It has a lots of volume, very liquid, and it's performing really well. So this is a coin that I really like to day trade. So I'm gonna cycle through that. Cyber, yeah, I don't know. I'm actually not so interested in Cyber, to be fair. And WorldCoin, the AI ChatGPT kind of coin, is also very volatile, very interesting, and it's also a funny project. I think I do think it has potential. Obviously, it has all the hype, you know. So this could be something that can perform pretty well in the future. But as with all new coins, what they usually do is either they pump or dump first, but eventually, even if doesn't matter which direction they go at first, usually after that, they just drop down, right? And that is when the actual chart begins, which is the reason why I haven't covered this before, because I just simply wanted to just wait a few weeks for more data to come, where we can now actually start making real informed decisions. Rather, otherwise, in my opinion, it's just basically gambling, right? And then last but not least, actually, that's what I actually want to start with, is Ethereum. Because I do want to take a look at Ethereum. So, because that is, in the end, remains till the day of today, the king of the altcoins, the altcoin king. So let me pop up those. Let's start off with ETH. Overall, yeah, I have been bullish on ETH for a few years now. At the moment, remains the same. We're basically in a really big sideways range, you know. So Ethereum, gonna keep it simple. We're basically in a big sideways range, very big sideways range that has been lasting for almost 2 years now. And now we are on our way to make a rotation to the downside of the range, after which I would be looking, coming to a zone of interest, right? It is starting to enter into a zone of interest for me, where I'm interested to see if this can bounce for either another rotation or maybe ultimately break out to the upside. Although this is a really big range. I think this is 50% range or something like that. So it's not really for day trading, but it is good to have an overall, yeah, it's a 50% range. It's good to have an overall context on how Ethereum is doing, because if Ethereum goes up, then usually, or 9 out of 10 times, altcoins perform extremely well as well. So Ethereum is the one that you really want to keep your eye on. If Bitcoin is like range bound, and then if Ethereum gets volatile, then you have all the perfect ingredients for an altcoin season, right? And I think at the moment, Ethereum, it doesn't look great, right? Because we're simply going downwards, but it is reaching a zone of interest that could spark some volatility. And this takes time, once again, to play out. So essentially what I'm saying here is I'm looking for, more specifically, for 2 weekly levels. Those are the boundaries of this. So if we start losing the weekly level, then I would turn bearish. If we start losing it and backtesting it as resistance, then I would be bearish on Ethereum. However, as long as we trade above the level, above this level, I remain bullish on Ethereum. If we start reclaiming the weekly level over here as support, then I would be ultra bullish. Then I would be ultra bullish. But overall, I remain bullish on Ethereum as long as we stay above the weekly level. So that is good to have that kind of context. And it also kind of explains the reason already why I'm kind of interested in altcoins, but I'm not expecting the world from it yet, right? And that has a really good, important impact on the way that I trade altcoins. If Ethereum would have been breaking that weekly level, I would be much more interested in, let's say, swing trading altcoins, looking for like the bigger gains. But now I'm way more sensible with trading my altcoins, right? Like I'm taking profits really quickly and I'm closing trades very quickly. I'm not over expecting anything. I'm not expecting like the double-digit gains, although they have been giving us quite some double-digit gains, especially on BLZ, making quite some crazy moves. Literally can be 10% on a single day and then a drop on 20% in a single day. So it has been good if you know how to trade it, right? And that's the problem, that a lot of people struggle with trading altcoins correctly because they simply just go too big. Price moves really big as well. They move like double-digit percentages, and then they're like way too over-positioned, leading to extremely large losses, which is a problem with altcoins, right? So these aspects, these kind of aspects, so how do you manage your expectation and how do you keep your risk management in check and stuff like that? That's all what we already focus on in the Tribe Labs Academy, but we're also now going to bring this into practice on a day-to-day basis during the competition. And I think that's what's really going to be pretty cool about it. Anyway, let us update the analysis. Let me take a quick peek at the chat to see if some questions come in. By the way, if you do want to know something, or if you have a question about anything, write them out in the chat and I'll be more than happy to take my time and go over it and answer it to the best of my ability. So let's start with tier B. I'm just gonna start afresh. So originally, I want to keep one level on, by the way. Originally, the idea was that I could potentially, I need to stop saying could potentially. I don't think that's correct English, but you get the point. I see the possibility of tapping this level once again. And the reason for that is that this is an all-time high. We've reached it just a little bit, but in the process of attempting to test that level, we have put in a double top at just before the all-time high, leaving us with a little bit of mixed signals here. Is this the top or is it not? Double top, just above it we have the all-time high. It would be super perfect if we could see an increase in price and look for a swing failure pattern, for example. Meaning that I'm not going to necessarily short an all-time high, but I am looking for long trades to trade to that level instead, right? Because I think this has high probability, never a certainty, but it does have high probability of this being taken out. Now, obviously on that first retracement, right, we had this really big drop, which I longed it during that live stream, longing for the bounce, also trading that exact idea. Now, naturally, like that the stop loss, or how do you say that? The take profits, take profit 1 and I think take profit 2 got hit, and then eventually I got stopped out break even, making it a profitable trade. And we are talking here about double-digit gains already, right? So this is not a small move. This is a 20% move from that bottom out. However, it turned out that the retracement was not done yet. So what we've done is, what I was trading for was something along the lines of this, right? Coming off of a downward sloping channel over here, right, grinding down towards that level, and I was expecting that to happen. It didn't happen, still a profitable trade, but it also showed me like, okay, this correction is going to be slightly bigger than I thought. Now we are starting to have a little bit of larger consolidation. And as a matter of fact, it's starting to, well, I would say maybe look a little bit like this kind of triangle, I would say. Which is just a consolidation pattern. But in this context, I would say that what we could do, so how am I going to explain this? Give me a second. So what I would say is overall, this entire section, even if we are going to go up, is still part of a corrective movement. What I'm looking at is A, B, C, first part of the correction, A, B triangle, potentially this, and then we're gonna have the final leg of the consolidation, wherever that may end. Well, it should be then ending well below this low, and then we can make our way up to all-time highs. So to simplify that, what I'm essentially looking for is really something along the lines of a big sideways channel that has yet to form. But you've seen it here first. So this is a sideways channel that I would be looking for, where we are now just literally trading in the middle of it, where I would expect a full rotation to the top side of this channel to confirm the channel, and then, you know, range onwards, giving us a really nice, big trading environment to trade in. So that is what I would be looking at for TRB. Starting with really complex thoughts, right? You know, this is based off of Elliott waves, but you can already see that I have this mindset of making complex information to simplify it in such a way that is just really easy to understand. And that is what I always strive to do in my analysis. So coming off of that whole liquidity theory around here, like double top, taking out this high, potentially all-time highs, looking at this, the way that this structure is forming, you know, seeing this as an Elliott wave kind of corrective B wave, ultimately, you know, thinking that, okay, this could be an expanded or just a normal flat, also giving me the bottom of a potential reaction from here on out. And from that way, I can start constructing my channel. You know, it's a mixture between being able to read the chart, simplifying it, and just, I would say, experience as well. Now, this obviously doesn't have to play out exactly how I'm showing it right now. But what it does, it helps give us a construct in which we can look to identify trade setups with, right? So I would be looking for an increase in price to the top of this channel, right? That could be a potential trade setup. And then if we do not do this, if we instead break down, then this is the next support level where we could look for still something like this, although it would be delayed. Right, so that is what I would say in terms of trading TRB at the moment. Day trading is possible, but you have to be aware that you are trading in the middle of the range, and in the middle of the range is usually quiet price action, and that is exactly what we're seeing right now. We see some choppiness here, and especially in altcoins, these wicks are like pretty big. So if you're trading something like this, be aware of your risk management. You know, you do want to be aware. And now if we zoom out just a little bit more locally, what we can see here is, well, while we are in this triangle, right, while we are in this, well, I'm not sure if I want to call it a triangle actually, but more or less like just consolidation as well here. We do have some support and resistance levels that we can identify here, right? Because we can simply say, hey, let's draw out the white boxes again. And we can say, okay, we are simply in this range. And the way that this range is going to break is going to reveal the bigger narrative, whether we're going to likely see that bottom as first, or we're going to see those all-time highs first, right? And that way of starting big, building it down, work your way down into the lower time frames can give you that construct and build that confidence to actually get that confidence to get into the trades, right? And that's important. That is the purpose of technical analysis. You know, with good technical analysis and accurate technical analysis, it gives you the confidence to give you the feeling like, hey, I understand what is going on. I understand what price can do at specific levels, right? Now the execution part, that is a different dimension of trading. That is where order flow and stuff like that comes into play. So that is, for me, I guess we can work our way towards a final conclusion on TRB right now. Simply looking at a really big sideways range overall, right? Ultimately, I want to see that all-time high being at least tapped, right? At least tapped. Currently, we're just consolidating right in the middle of it all, and the way that this is going to break is going to reveal which level this level is going to get hit first. So that's my final conclusion, where I'm going to be personally interested in trading the lower end of the channel. And if we get rejected from the all-time high, then I'm also interested to trade that back to the downside, which is possible because this is a USDT pair perpetual, so we can short this. However, be careful, because you have to be aware of the context. If you're looking to short here, you are essentially shorting an all-time high, right? So you have to be careful. It's not something that I immediately want to jump in front of. I will say that. And this is not financial advice, but that is what I will do. Right. Now let's move on to the next asset. All right, I do see in the chat. Yeah, you are correct, my friend. So Klaas is saying that this is actually not the all-time high. Yeah, that is correct. I am looking at the Bybit chart, which does not have as much data as Binance. So yes, you are absolutely correct. This is not the factual all-time high. The real all-time high is indeed higher if you are looking at the Binance chart, right? But that chart at the moment simply doesn't serve my trading idea or my purpose of how I'm looking to trade this, and therefore at the moment simply not relevant. Now, when does this become relevant is if we, let's say, have an all-time high on this chart, and I don't have any more data as to where the next resistance after that might be, right? Which at the moment is simply not relevant. It's not even worth looking at it at the moment because we're not there. We're literally in the middle of this range. But I have to agree with you, if we do start reclaiming that level, then that would be indeed a good moment to flip over to a chart with more data to see where the next resistance comes into play based on past price action performance. So I do agree with that. And that would then literally be, well, more or less would be like $75. But yeah, then we're really far away from that. So at the moment, you know, I want to keep things level-headed. So I'm not going to speculate on this kind of stuff. But yes, you are right. You are right. Okay, so now let's look at WLD, the WorldCoin. WorldCoin. It's like this AI coin. I think a lot of controversy about it as well, where people are just need to scan their eyeballs or something like that, and then they have like this ID where you can basically tell the internet that you are a human, that you are a real person, which is, I don't know, kind of scary to be fair, but hey, it is starting to become reality. Well, that's basically the underlying fundamental aspect of this coin. In the end, I think it's fun to know about it, but it doesn't help me make trading decisions, right? But we do now have enough data that I want to start building. So again, gonna keep it simple. Also, just I don't have the focus that I normally have. Just sorry about that, but it is what it is. We have resistance just slightly above us, which is this key level at $1.76. And that we are now currently testing. We're currently testing that. I fully expect that to be hit, to be fair, you know. But if you have that free cheat sheet that you can get, that I'm sending out, then you would be able to judge it from the volume, whether this trend is strong. And to be fair, structure doesn't look super great, but does look like the volume is kind of coming in a little bit. So this is one of these situations, okay, like wait and see situations. I wouldn't personally feel comfortable to short this because there could be strength in this. So this could do this, but at the same time, it literally, because of the weak structure over here, similar as to Bitcoin actually, it could literally also do this, right? So this is going to have to be a reaction-based trade where I'm going to want that level to be seen hit. And then I want to see a proper rejection actually forming. Like, you know, I want to see that change of market structure coming in first before actually making the decision to trade. If we pull a high-fi, yeah, then obviously you're gonna miss out on the trade. Even though, and this is a little bit in hindsight because, you know, because we were trading this live, but getting into a short over here is really difficult because you're here at all-time highs. The coin is massive volatile, you know. So just shorting that, it could do the same as what sheep, for example, did, I think, last year. Just go up and up and up and up and up, and it would get squeezed like crazy. What we did instead is, without any single retracement, this is a 15-minute chart, by the way, right? So all we did was just boom, 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 just dump. So you know, that's almost impossible to actually get into the trade, which could be the same. You know, I'm looking at WorldCoin in the same way. That's the point I'm trying to make here. I'm looking at it the same way. So first, I do want to see that change of structure. And if we just start falling like in a straight line down, well, yeah, then that's no trade for me. I'm gonna pass on that one, right? I mean, you also have to realize that I don't feel the urge on trading every single opportunity on every single altcoin. I mean, there's thousands of them out there, thousands of them making moves. If I miss one of them, who cares, you know? I only want to take the best trades, and that is my personal approach, and that helps me, well, not making massive losses, for example, or marrying my bias on one single coin where I think like, oh, this is WorldCoin, this is gonna be big, where you're gonna like hold your bags till forever, you know, till the next bull market, essentially. So that keeps me level-headed, and it helps me to essentially just not get wrecked, in short, you know? So yeah, WorldCoin really gonna have to keep it simple, actually, to be fair. One thing that could be interesting though, and this is, honestly, this is very speculative, but what if we do something like this? Could be cool. And we print a W from WorldCoin. That would be cool. So this is what you call a cup and handle. You see a lot of YouTube influencers putting this on and slapping this on their chart, and they were saying like, "Oh, cup and handle is really bullish sign." But there's one thing you need to keep in mind: 9 out of 10 times these people draw these cup and handles incorrect, because it is really not so much about the shape. It's really not so much about the shape. What it basically means is, yeah, you're forming some sort of a rounded bottom, then you meet resistance, then you have like your consolidation, and then you break out. But if you follow the cheat sheet that I've sent out, volume is the key into identifying these patterns correctly. So actually, let me just explain to you for free here, or live on stream, how a cup and handle works. If this is going to be a cup and handle, what you want to see, ideally, is this. And you want to see this accompanied by volume, right? So during the drop, what you want to see is eventually, as it is starting to bottom out, you want to see that volume diminishing, meaning that selling is getting exhausted, meaning that people are tired and done of selling. People are moving to a different market. People are taking their losses, and people are just not shorting or not interested in trading this to the downside anymore. Just the momentum just fades away. Then it forms like this long standing base, right? Where the volume generally is relatively low. However, once you start actually making that change in trend, what we are starting to see here, what you typically want to see is you want to see that volume picking up, right? And to be fair, let's take a look at it. It is what you're seeing. So what we want to see is, this is currently consolidation, so it makes sense that we have less volume, but you can already see that overall on this section, the volume is much larger than it was here, right? So what you would want to see here is that increase in volume, and then once you come up to that resistance and then start printing that flag, you want to see once again something like this, right? So you basically want to see something like this now in the profile, something like this. And then once you hit that resistance, you want to see something like this. And then once you break out, boom, you want to see that increase in volume like this. That is what you can classify as a bullish breakout. And that would actually be a legitimate cup and handle in terms of technical analysis. Very important. If you ever see somebody just drawing you a cup and handle or a triangle or something of the sorts, or a falling or rising wedge, without showing the volume profile, it is by definition already misses 50% of the information. And from that, you can already judge that that person probably not really fully aware of what they're talking about. No offense to anybody in particular, just want to make you aware, because it is difficult in this space to get good knowledge. So I'm just handing this out to you. Be aware. So that is essentially how it looks like. Cup and handle, but we can also do some other stuff. We can also throw on some volume. Let me actually include this big candle as well and see what we got going on here. It does seem that we are having some nice confluence, technical confluence, which is a value area high over here on the volume profile, lining up really nicely with this, with this horizontal level that I got going on here. So there is some confluence. So we are now at resistance, although I'm not paying that much attention to it, to this, I'm not putting super heavy weight on this value area high. Why? Because it is a very young asset. So therefore, the volume profile has not matured yet in a way where I can say like, ooh, I'm very confident in taking trading decisions off that. However, there is confluence. So I'm not gonna lie, there is technical confluence, although I would rank this lower in priority than this horizontal level at the moment. That's my personal way of how I'm looking at it. So yes, there is confluence. We are at resistance at the moment. But honestly, I do think that we're gonna, tap this. And then we're gonna have to see whether it's gonna fake out, change its structure and drop further down, or it breaks through, back tests, providing you with a potential trade entry. And then we can look for the next level, which would be here. So that is my conclusion on WorldCoin. And if we don't, well, then we're gonna see lower prices and we're gonna just, range on for a while longer. So yeah, what do we have then? Yeah, let's take a look at BLZ. Why not? Actually, it's kind of starting to become a personal favorite of mine lately. Just trading on and off, to be fair. I do notice that this stream is quite taxing on me, so I am gonna go through some questions and then I'm gonna close it off. Yeah, but BLZ, yeah, what can I say really about BLZ? I'm pretty bullish on BLZ overall, actually. I did short this last week. I did short this drop, but I've already closed it because it kind of remains. It was a profitable trade, but it doesn't mean I'm not bearish. I'm not so bearish. So the way that I'm looking at BLZ right now is something along the lines of this. Could be more accurate, but this is it's about the idea, right? So I'm looking at something along the lines of this, where we are now in the process of, back testing this channel as support. Yes, it is true that we dropped through it. It's very technical, but with altcoins, I'm way more lenient about regions because altcoins tend to give more wicks and, more tests on specific levels. It's not the first time that I mentioned this either. So I'm classing this as like a resistance region, especially now that this structure has been forming. So, what we've done here is drop, backtest the channel. We formed we formed an upward sloping triangle if we're staying in the patterns anyway. Funny because I actually don't really trade a lot of patterns, but it does help understand the context a little bit. And it does look like we are now starting to break out and backtest this entire section now is support. So that as far as that holds, I foresee higher prices on BLZ, right? I just foresee higher prices on BLZ. One thing you do need to be aware of, again, this is a range that encompasses 7 or 8%. So, when you're working out your stop loss placement, just be aware that it's not like Bitcoin at the moment where you have like 1 or 0.5% stop loss area away, but you need much wider stop losses here. So you need to be aware of that when you're trading altcoins, and therefore you just need to be careful that you're not, putting too much size on your trade. Otherwise, it could very well be, I mean, we've seen it on Hi-Fi that it just drops 50% in an hour. You don't want to you don't want to be that guy that loses 50% on its entire portfolio in just a few minutes, right? So therefore, you need to have your risk management in check. You need to work out your position sizing and targets before you enter into the trade, so that if you are wrong, if it does drop heavily down, that even then still you would be able to survive to fight another day from that the loss that you would be taking from that is not so devastating that that your whole portfolio is ruined. Because if you have that under control, then you can sustain your portfolio, and you give yourself that time to get that experience, to learn and to become better, right? If you only have one trade, if your experience is 1 or 2 trades, and then your portfolio is depleted, there's not a lot of experience, so there's not a lot that you can learn from. So you want to keep your risk management in check, so that you can also literally buy yourself that time to get those experiences, right? And from there on out, you can start stabilizing your portfolio, stop losing at first, right? Then probably you have a while that you're trading break even, which is completely normal. And then slowly over time, you're starting to make those profits. Small, but consistent. And then over time, that consistency has no limit to the upside, really. Conclusion on BLZ. Bullish at the moment. As long as this range is now holding. If we start losing this low, then the situation is different, because then we have officially changed like a larger time frame market structure, but we're also coming then back into this bigger consolidation region, right? Where I then would expect a much more heavy retracement. So that is something to be aware of. But as long as we are staying, above and around these regions, I remain bullish. And until then, that's what I think on this asset. And then if we start dropping lower, well, that is actually also great. I don't mind that, because that gives opportunities to actually, buy it for cheaper later on. So that's my way how I go about it. I hope that this was clear to you. Please let me know. Once again, I have to mention and apologize for the fact that I'm not feeling 100% tonight. So if I sound confusing or anything of the sort, please ask me, and I'm more than happy to explain this to you. Let me see if there's some questions. Let me see if there's some questions over here. Glad to finally catch the live stream. You're welcome, mate. Happy to see you here. Happy to see you here. Adolfo is asking me, what is your view about the discrepancy on exchanges and the spot derivatives charts putting on different lows after the dump from $30,000? Do you think it is more probable to go lower to fix this? Yes. Short answer, but the answer is yes. That is definitely a possibility. 100%. What Adolfo is actually referring to is that on spot exchanges like Coinbase, although let me just double check that if now that is still the case. On spot exchanges, where is my spot exchange? Oh yeah, right. Okay, so on the spot exchange, we actually did make a new lower low, but we haven't taken out $24,000. So what Adolfo is referring to, on derivatives exchanges, that means that exchanges where you can trade on leverage, we have a really big wick. But on spot exchanges, we've never really reached that level. So Adolfo's question is it probable that we're going to explore this level again to even things out, so that everything is even on the derivatives and spot exchanges as well? And I would say, yes, this is quite a unique situation that I literally cannot remember when we had such a situation to the last time. And I do believe that when we had this, eventually you do retest these levels to iron things out and to make everything even again. That's the most simplistic explanation that I can come up with. Of course, this is all rooted in experience and theory, right? This is rooted in being able to think about liquidity and, you know, the way that market makers move the market, right? It is about market efficiency, and, you know, you can talk hours and days about this, but the short answer is to iron everything out. Yes, there's definitely a chance that we can do that, which is one of the reasons that I remain very much open for lower prices on Bitcoin. And that is also why I've taken a short, right? Because ultimately, Bitcoin, the structure still doesn't look bullish. We have yet to see a sign of strength. We have seen an increase in price, that's true. But an increase in price doesn't necessarily mean it's bullish. An increase in price, so price is basically just only an advertising mechanism. It doesn't mean, if price is high, it doesn't mean it's bullish. If price is low, it also doesn't mean it's bearish. It is the context in which that price is behaving that gives and shows the underlying sentiment. And that is what I focus on myself really a lot. You know, figuring that out. It's all these small little puzzle pieces that I enjoy solving. And with that, you have an edge. You are having information to your availability earlier than anybody else. And that's the power of being able to do something like that. But overall, yes, I do think we can see lower prices for sure. And as far as I go, I don't necessarily see this as a strong rise in price. As a matter of fact, I have been looking for a short all along. Have I traded it ultra successfully? Well, I did have a couple of attempts of shorts, but they didn't play out. I did short here, but I also shorted here. And I lost these trades, right? Because this for me was the high of a range over here. For me, a valid trade setup, a very valid trade setup. But eventually, price just continued to go up, right? It continued to go up and even back tested, but you know, the resistance level that I earlier shorted as support, you know, and at some point you just, you know, it doesn't mean that I'm shorting every single rise, right? Because for me, this made sense. Shorting here didn't, because there's not much to go off of there. There's one technical level there, but that's not enough for me to just jump into a short, which is what a lot of people did. They've started to short here, 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 here. Yeah, and eventually, you know, after taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses, the 8th one is going to be a win. I don't want to be the person that's going to say like, hey, you see, guys, I was right all along. Although it took me 7 tries to be right. You know, no, that's not the way that I trade. I'm trading high probability setups. And at the time, this was a high probability setup, right? We did got a rejection, but we did not got the rejection that I wanted to see. And instead we moved up, giving me a second opportunity. However, once that trade got stopped out for a loss, I realized like, hey, market structure is now changing. Even though I remain bearish, it doesn't mean that I'm going to aggressively short every single rise. Now that we are actually reclaiming some levels, albeit weak, I'm still looking for a short, but I'm going to wait till the weakness actually comes into the market. And that actual short was actually being given on Thursday. On Thursday afternoon, that is where I started shorting, if I'm not mistaken. Friday. On Friday, that is where I actually started taking the short, because for the first time, I saw real signs of weakness and real signs of actually getting rejected in the order flow. You know, lots of longs opening up, starting to see intraday support levels being lost and flipped into resistance. And then it's really like, okay, 1 + 1 + 1, you know, it ticks all the boxes. And that is actually when I finally got into my short. In the process, making back, even though this was actually a winning trade, right? Because I did take profits, then got stopped out break even, but making back the losses that I did over here and, you know, massive profits. instead. And that is the power of knowing when and where to trade, and also knowing when you're wrong. Because you can, even though I took a loss, I kept it really small so that I can make it back on the next trade, right? So yeah, that is the power of trading, being patient and not getting super greedy. And using the information as it comes in, you know, because even though I like to sometimes say like I can predict the future, and at times it's definitely very accurate, but you know, let's be honest, I'm not a psychic. I also don't know for sure what is going to happen in the future. I need that data to come in to actually see if my idea, what I had in mind, is if this is actually playing out as we speak, right? So, you know, let me check out the questions. I'm a 6D. Missed you, dude. Missed your technical analysis. Well, I'm very happy that you have been joining the live stream tonight. Happy to see that. Hopefully see you in the tribe soon as well. Looking on the correlation between S&P and BTC. The SP is S&P 500. Okay, so you are talking about the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is at a crucial level. If lost, we're looking for a big drop. And that's going to affect the BTC. And yeah, so basically that is what I said at the beginning of the stream. Maybe you tuned in later. So let me rephrase that a little bit. If we do start losing these, if we do start losing these lows over here and over here by actually closing below it and also closing back within the white box, then the way that I would class this entire section is as a fake out of this entire range, where I would ultimately be looking for, well, pretty much the bottom of the range. Not expecting this to play out tomorrow or next week. You know, this is it took us like half a year or almost a year to get there, right? So I'm not saying that tomorrow we're gonna do this, but it is for the longer time. I would say, yeah, then the S&P is definitely looking to retrace much further to the downside. Absolutely. And if it does, I do think there is going to be a point and a level, which at the moment is hard to predict, but there will be a point and a level where Bitcoin is going to give a reaction. And that is why I want to stay aware of it. I don't necessarily know beforehand where that is. I mean, I have my thoughts and I have my ideas about it. But you never know for sure when and if it happens. Because 1 year ago, the S&P 500 was super correlated by Bitcoin. There even was a time when if I saw the ES or the S&P 500 opening up on the day, I just could take a long on Bitcoin and you would just be in profits. Now it's not like that anymore, right? I mean, now, actually, to be completely honest, the traditional markets are way more volatile than Bitcoin lately, actually. I mean, S&P and the dollar and everything, they're making moves every single day, and Bitcoin is just ranging on. So there is a time of correlation and a time when there's no correlation. But there will be a point when the correlation is gonna come back. And that is the reason, even though currently it is not so much correlated as it used to be, it's still correlated, but not as strong. But there will be a time and when it will be back. And that's what I do want to monitor. That's why I always want to be aware of what is happening on the bigger picture. So yeah, and then on top of that, we actually also have the dollar. I am bullish on the dollar. As a matter of fact, it's pretty crazy. I mean, we've seen 9 or 10 green weeks in a row. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. Hasn't happened in a long time. I was actually checking that out. When did that happen for the last time? I think that was in 2014. 10 weeks in a row. So that is something to definitely be aware of. But we are now starting to get back above. So the way that I'm looking at the dollar is as follows. Sideways range, pretty much. And now we're starting to test these highs, the absolute high of this range. I mean, if we start flipping this into support, yeah, then I would say then this was the bottom on the dollar for some time to come. And the overall bull market of the dollar, because even though this was a big retracement in the market, really big retracement, overall, it's really not so difficult to see that overall the dollar is in a bull market. We had like a decade, nearly a decade range, 7-8 years, right? We broke out of that, and what have we done? We've pretty much just backtested it right now. So, you know, I would be looking for continuation ultimately, and I've been saying that ever since we topped out on the DXY. For those who are following me for a while, they're probably aware that I've said like, okay, this is a retracement on the dollar. This can take a while, but eventually I expect the dollar to actually, you know, go back up because the structure is bullish. And the funny thing about this is, this does not even include any kind of conversation about interest rates. Of course, the dollar is affected by it, of course. But in the end, it is all this information is in the charts. And you can make an educated guess on where this might go in the future, which is very interesting. And that is why I like that. Hey Mike, how do you mark daily and weekly levels on the ES? Yeah, so in the course I actually go deeply about that, but basically short answer is I pick the highest or lowest levels usually. As a short answer. But I go really deep into that in the course that I've created. Comes with the membership, by the way, so no additional fee for it. Okay, so hi Mike, I'm from the UK. We are losing Bybit as an exchange. What are your thoughts on BitGet or MEXC as an alternative exchange for futures while living in the UK? Yeah, oh yeah, so yeah, that is definitely a thing. So there is KYC or UK. Binance, for example, got banned in the Netherlands. So Binance you cannot use Binance here anymore. Now Bybit is gonna get banned from the UK. Personally, I would favor BitGet because of the fact that I have been using this for a while now. It does now require KYC. That's true. It's kind of like cannot really get around it anymore. Every exchange is gonna get KYC. So I have succumbed to it and I've done KYC. But I try to, you know, delay it as long as I could. But now it's just there's not really any way to get around it anymore, to be honest. If you're trading on centralized exchanges, that is. I like BitGet because it has a lot of liquidity, it has a lot of volume, and it trades really well. It's one of the reasons why I like it. MEXC, I'm probably gonna get some heat for saying this, but to me, am I gonna say this? To me, it just looks too good to be true when I'm looking at the fee structure. It gives me FTX vibes. And that's why I don't trade on it. And I know I'm going to get hate for this, but that is what I think. So that is one of the reasons why I'm not using it. It is definitely cheap. Yeah, what can I say? What can I say? I don't trade on MEXC. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, you know, personal opinion. So yeah, at the moment, BitGet is my main choice because I like it. I have returned to Bybit as well, by the way. I have returned to Bybit. But I find myself trading on BitGet actually more than on Bybit. But to be fair, I like both exchanges. But, you know, if you're from the UK, then obviously you need other options because you just cannot use it anymore. So at the moment, as far as I'm aware, UK users can still use BitGet. And there are other exchanges as well. But I'm using BitGet at the moment. Otherwise, you need to start looking at decentralized exchanges. But the problem there is, it depends on how large you trade, but the problem is the liquidity there. You know, that's can be a problem. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, for the record, I have never ever traded on FTX. I've always said, like, I'm not trading FTX because those fees, that's just not sustainable. If you have to be aware of how do exchanges make money, right? Exchanges simply make money through commissions. So, how yeah, I don't know. Like, I really don't want to get too deep into this, but I've always also said to FTX, like, it's just too good to be true. Look what happened. I've never ever traded on FTX because I thought, like, yeah, it's just too good to be true. And if it is, then if it looks too good to be true, then usually is. So and look what happened. And unfortunately, people don't learn. Don't learn their lessons. They just find these fees too attractive. But I don't know. In the end, fees are also cost of doing business, right? Trading, I see this as doing business, and you essentially pay commissions for a party to execute your orders. It's a business. It's a transaction. I don't expect that to be free, right? They're handling a lot of things for us. Like, an exchange handles the execution of that order. If they do it well, it's worth a fee, right? And that's simply how I think. And if they do it well, and if my positions get filled, and then I'm a happy customer, and I don't care if that is on Bybit, or if that is on BitGet, or if that is on exchange number XYZ. I don't care. In the end, I'm there to execute trades well. And if there's a party that can handle that for me, then I'm a happy customer. And at the moment, I'm a happy customer of BitGet. And that's just as simple as I think. I'm not prone to this cultist-like thinking where people are shaming one exchange in favor of the other to push their affiliate links. I have affiliate links as well, right? So if you want, you can join my affiliate links. It will give you a discount on the fees, which is great, but it's not something that I'm continuously pushing and everything like that. I mean, in the end, it should be your own choice. And you need to be aware of what are you looking for in an exchange. I'm just sharing with what I'm doing and what my criteria is. And because I have good experiences with that product, I have no problems with sharing that, That's really as simple as it gets for me. So yeah, that was kind of a rant I went on, wasn't it? But hey, we're also here to just talk stuff like this as well. It's important to sometimes just pay some attention to it and talk about it, because there's just so much stuff going on in crypto. It's insane. Let me see. So for example, Binance, now that we're talking about it anyway, I've traded on pretty much every single exchange that you can imagine, I come literally from the BitMEX times. And when Binance was like even not just new, just around the corner, they were super small back then. But at the time, I don't know if it's like that, but they were not... They were not offering market stop losses, for example, which was a complete deal breaker for me. And then I had a bunch of other things. I had so much slippage, and my stop losses, even though that they got hit and stuff like that, didn't get executed. This was way back in the day. I have no idea how it is now. Probably better, but that just threw me off, and I never used Binance ever again. So that's my personal experience with Binance. Haven't used Binance in like at least 4 years. Maybe 5 even. But hey, like I said before, I'm just one person who has an opinion and experience on these exchanges. And I'm just sharing what my experiences are, so that you can make an informed decision for yourself. Fees on crypto compared to brokers where you can trade traditional markets are night and day and no slippage. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, comparing fees with crypto and stocks is night and day. There's not even, you cannot compare that. So that is not a good comparison. Overall, trading stocks is way more expensive than trading crypto, to be fair. Especially if you're day trading. All right, let me see. So sometimes I miss questions because I'm sifting through the chat, and sometimes I miss them. I'm gonna call it a day. So I would say thank you very much for joining. I had some fun. I hope this was educational to you. If I missed your question whatsoever, then forgive me. I've just missed it. It's not that I do not like your question. I just missed it. So don't take it personal. I guess we can close it off. We've done a few altcoins. Shared my thoughts on many things, actually, on the various charts. Even we went into the fundamental things a little bit as well. If you like what you saw, please give me a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And on top of that, if you're looking to take trading to a more serious level, then consider checking out the website thrivelabs.io. We have a community there. We have an academy there. There's free stuff there as well. If you're a beginner trader, then that's where you can learn the very basics. And if you like what you see, if you like the structure, then I'd be happy to become your coach. And I will be to your availability every single day in the Discord. So hopefully you've enjoyed this stream, and perhaps see you in the tribe soon. And if not, then have a really brilliant day, and make sure you keep your risk management in check. And we will see and speak to each other soon again. Have a great night, everybody. Cheers.